Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Water is the New Gold. I'm excited today because I get to talk about two things that I love dearly, Las Vegas and water. Wow, dream come true for me. I was motivated by a video I saw from a guy named Bobby Kahn. If you don't know who Bobby Kahn is, you really got to check him out. He's running for the 1st Congressional District in Las Vegas, or in Nevada, which happens to cover Las Vegas. But more importantly, the guy is a forward thinker and he really loves Las Vegas and wants to see it do better. So the first thing in his video that struck me is that he explored the idea of using desalinization to relieve some of this water scarcity. And we're going to talk about desalinization and scarcity, but I want to talk about something that's even more important. And that is not just the value of water to Las Vegas, but the deep connection Las Vegas has to water. Not a lot of people know this, but Las Vegas was discovered because of water. Las Vegas means the meadows. A long time ago, explorers realized, they learned that there were great water stores off of their trading trail, and they migrated to that to water their horses. Well, after that, of course, businesses sprung up because of the crowds that were migrating there. The other thing that a lot of folks don't know is that at UNLV, there is a great environmental and water research team, particularly a friend of mine, Dr. Jossie Marie Batista, have done some fantastic work about finding new and exciting things to do with water and ways to improve the technology. A very interesting thing in this vein we're talking about is that water.org has done research, and they show that for every $1 you invest in water technology, it generates $4 worth of income. So now you have this situation where you have water scarcity, and you have a town that is really probably the most well-positioned town in the United States to find water solutions. So let's get into this bit about desalinization. Would it work for Las Vegas? What are the positive things? What are the negative things? So the first question we have to answer with desalinization is, could we really move that much water? Can we build a pipeline? What's involved in this? Well, Las Vegas uses about 250 million gallons of water a day. That translates to about 175,000 gallons per minute. So how much of a pipe, what kind of piping network do you need to move that amount of water? Well, it's not that bad. You need a 48-inch pipe. So, 4 feet diameter pipe is nothing, and we've certainly built pipelines before. So right off the bat, this is starting to make a little bit of sense. So now, after a rip-roaring start, we take a closer look at desalinization and we see a few problems. The biggest problem is that it produces a lot of salt. For this 250 million gallons a day that Las Vegas uses, that much desalinized water would produce 75 million pounds per day of salt, which is 2.2 billion pounds of salt a year, which that represents about a little more than a third of all the salt consumed in the United States. So we gotta find out what we're gonna do with this salt. Now, I want you to understand, I'm not a naysayer of desalinization, but if we're gonna make a water plan, we gotta take a look at the logistics and the practicality of it. That 2.2 billion pounds of salt that we would produce a year requires 50,000 semi-truckloads to haul away, or 12,500 railroad cars every month. That's a lot of space to move. Also, if we make that much salt, we've got to put it somewhere. And we have to put it in containers that are environmentally safe, because you can't have this stuff leaching into the water. It changes and destroys ecosystems. So we got to protect the environment while we're making this new water. One of the other things we want to look at is we ask ourselves, if we build this plant, How much is it going to cost to operate it? Well, by current costs and standards, it would cost about $2.5 million a day to operate. Now, before you think, holy mackerel, that makes it prohibitive, think about this. For that $2.5 million, we're making 250 million gallons a day of water. If you divide that out, it's less than a penny per gallon, somewhere around 0.8 of a cent per gallon of water. The average the average person uses about 90 gallons a day. So you're talking about $7 per person per day. It gets a little more expensive. Water bill is going to go up. But remember, we wouldn't use 100% of this water. We'd use some of it. It would be used to help. So the cost isn't prohibitive. The other thing that I mentioned that we got to look at is that the salt is very damaging to other ecosystems. So if we would make this kind of amounts of water, we really do have to figure out what the heck we're going to do with the salt. And the other thing is that the challenge becomes interstate politics and federal politics. How do you force another community, another state, to build and maintain a desalinization plant? So now comes the fun part of this video, and that's the takeaways. What do we know? What have we learned? Well, the first thing we learned is that as a desal plant moves further and further away from the ocean, from the coast, it becomes less economical and less practical. The good news, however, is that if we built desal plants and reservoirs to hold this water in California, that would reduce the draw off of the Colorado River, and the backsplash of that would be that there would be less stress on Lake Mead, more water, healthier water situation for Las Vegas. The next takeaway is that regardless of what you think of desalinization, we can all agree that it is a greatly underused technology. It may not be the only solution and answer we have, but it is an answer and it can help our problem. This brings me to my third conclusion or third takeaway, and that is the U.S. really needs to act quickly to come up with a national water plan, and we need a national water czar, somebody that can bring together the needs of different people of different states and come up with a solution that's lasting and effective. I applaud Bobby Kahn for being the first leader in a long time to talk about water scarcity and actually discuss some practical things that we can do to start making a difference. Thanks a lot for tuning into my video. I hope you subscribe to the channel. You can check out my blog and website at Water is the New Gold. I got a lot of water information on there, and as always, I love to hear questions, love to talk about water, and let's enjoy this great benefit.